The problem in Liberia is that most of the banks want high return, and they don't have patience to pay money to agricultural companies or people like that, because the turnaround date for agriculture is so long and tricky. So you have to work in a way where we can grow. It is a green, virgin country. Climate finance, everything going on in Europe, they put together climate finance. We have everything that God gives natural resources. So okay, I hope this time that you all will work with our agricultural people to make the president generally the rest of the come to fruition, because that agriculture is the key. No money is spent on recommendation. For a country that's a green country, we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing that. We should make cooperative. We should make farmers do the farming and buy food for the farmers and cut down the production and reserve, and our reserve will be saved on foreign exchange. But the thing can grow, we buy more from outside than we use. So I hope this roadshow, you guys are on, we're strengthening the collaboration, make sure that people take advantage of the natural resources so that we can grow the economy. Because agriculture is no more. We got to. People get personal loan, but can't get agriculture loan. Because the banks cannot wait for the gestation period. So my only thing for this week is that I'm here to see how we can use this roadshow and try to create agriculture and where agriculture, how we can take advantage of it, and try to know people who don't have that kind of money, so make sure the premium is lower, right? You can't hire that, you don't have the money, so they try to work. That's why I get it from the very end. We can structurally develop, right? But get up with the man. Don't even go there and think about it, right? So again, let me start right now with this. I just want to be, I always here to support you all. I want to make sure that, because it helps the economy, it helps Liberia. If you bring Afreximbank here to help Liberia people, we take it. Everybody are hardworking people. We don't need our own government, all right? But we don't have to work with God. So when you come in here, we want to link you with other people to make sure we're really happy. Thanks so much.
Everything we do as policymakers and partners are transforming the socio-economic environment in Liberia rests on empowering the private sector, particularly Liberian entrepreneurs, smallholders, and all those along the value chains linked to our comparative advantages. The President's agenda rests on agriculture, value chain, and empowering Liberian entrepreneurship. I share that, or if I may say more correctly, I must share that. I must ensure that we succeed in implementing that mandate. Governor Talu spelled out arrest, and even in cabinet, there's a joke that I say the T at the end of the rest is straight, and that encompasses tourism as a serviceable trade. I believe that trade, how we trade our resources, how we harness our opportunities, our endowment is key to our sustainable economic growth. I also know that the issues impacting the business environment, the business community, and the economy at various levels are extensive. Access to finance, inadequate technology, poor infrastructure, unskilled workforce, access to market, global trends, internal collaboration, climate, leadership. The impact is very big. Unless there is a concerted effort and agenda and effective coordination involving all of us, policymakers, development partners, and direct stakeholders, to change the business environment in the next few years, I believe our aspirations and efforts will be futile. While we may not be able to directly address the impact of those external issues, there are a few that we can and must influence. Leadership, having realistic strategy and agenda, corruption, poor governance, the ineffectiveness of our institutions, inadequate financing options, and more. These are the priorities of President Walker and his government. Our agenda at the commerce and industry is to take responsibility to address these across the government agencies. The fact that we see here today high-level participation from Atali, the Deputy Minister of Finance, is an indication, it's a strong indication, by the way, of our resolve, the interagency collaboration to ensure that this government succeeds in empowering our people. I assure you that in the next few months, you will see and feel the changes that this administration, and you will feel and see the commitment, our commitment to foster an inclusive, balanced, and competitive private sector-led economy. To our partners, I thank you for implementing this roadshow for the second time. I thank you all for collaborating, the new partners. Our discussion yesterday and presence here today indicate that we understand the issues and the roles we all must play to bring the most this fecund and endowed economy country can offer its people and the region. To our entrepreneurs, I thank you for participating. I thank you for your resilience and the hope that you carry. This government, the Ministry of Commerce, is committed to giving you the support you need. I thank you all.
The voice from the Minister of Commerce and Industry.
My country rep and EVP, Mr. Horace Cooper, will be the one making the statement on our behalf. But I want to thank everybody, Honorable Minister Min Modad, the Central Bank Governor, and my brother, the Deputy Minister, Moput Green, Lisa, and Afreximbank. And I also see the CEO of SIB Bank, Mr. Amin. Thank you for showing up, and I see the credit manager for IB. I'll yield the floor to my country rep and my boss, Mr. Horace Cooper. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I stand on my CEO's existing protocols. Good morning. As the first of three advisors to Afreximbank in Liberia, we are privileged to have all of you here this morning. We are excited that Afreximbank is in town. I will recall a conversation over a couple of years ago with clients when we were in the phase of structuring a transaction. And we mentioned that we would be taking that transaction to Afreximbank. And the client came back with, is it the same Afreximbank from Connecting Africa CNN? And I said yes. We're happy that you're here in the flesh, Mr. Income, and your team. We're happy to have you here. Over the years, Afreximbank has invested over 150 billion into various transactions in Liberia, to the private sector, financial sector, and to government projects. And we're happy to know that in the coming year, Afreximbank's deal pipeline total Liberia is over $200 million. We are happy that we have companies that are able and capable of absorbing some of those monies. And we look forward to those monies changing the way our country looks, changing the way we feel. And as Minister Modad said, we look forward to seeing and feeling the impact of these investments and the impact of our new government on our country. So, Mr. Income and your team, we're happy to have you, Wisdom, Ada, Mr. Sofafo, Obi, we're happy to have you here. For some of you, it's your first time here. We hope that you are enjoying the Liberian hospitality, and we look forward to ensuring that the meetings after 3 o'clock today will be very rewarding for our clients and for our country. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I will also rest on the existing protocol. We are very delighted at Loita Capital Partners to be part of the second roadshow organized by our partners, Afreximbank. Permit me to use this podium to brag a bit, but Loita Capital Partners was actually the conduit that Afreximbank used in entering the Liberian market through our partnership with NASCO. And we have a CFO up here, so you can always verify. Now, please indulge me. I believe that with the transition that we have faced as Liberians, we stand at a crossroads. Our rich resources, our unwavering spirit positions us for an economic leap forward. But the question remains, much ado about the talk. How do we get there? I'm sure you are wondering the same. But tying in with the vision of this year's Roadshow, I believe the answer lies in trade. Trade is the engine that will take us there. For a moment, just imagine a Liberia that is not a resource-rich nation. So forget about the paradox of plenty, the resource curse, the Dutch disease, all that comes with resource-rich nations. And just imagine a Liberia that is just a hub of commerce, a vibrant one, where Liberian businesses can actually compete on the world stage to create jobs for us and to generate wealth. Trade is the engine that will propel us there. I know that we are very much aware of the importance of trade, but allow me to just state three basic importance of trade and the need for us to get to that stage. I know that the 2022 report on exports in Liberia showed that we did about 1.6 billion in exports. That was a good one as compared to 2021, where we did 879 million. But I give you a charge today. There is still room to do much more. And trade again is the engine that will take us there. By harnessing the power of trade, we stand to create jobs. Once we are able to compete on the international market, even within ourselves as a nation, if we trade well, we are able to create a need for Liberian goods and services. And this will create jobs across all sectors of our economy. Secondly, we stand to strengthen our Liberian dollar. If we are to increase our trade, more trade will culminate in more export. More export will see us having more forex or foreign exchange, influx of foreign exchange. That will bolster our reserves as a nation. Then we will enjoy a strengthened economy. That would also attract investors, both locally and externally. Mostly when we talk of investors, we think of people outside, we think of the international markets. But there's a lot to be done in here. And once we have strengthened our position, we can go out there. The last thing that I also want you to think about when we talk about trade in Liberia is what it offers us as Liberians. Empowered businesses. Once that can be strengthened, we will be comfortable trading with our international counterparts. And once we are able to do that, we create entrepreneurship and innovation. I don't know if you've been following the trend on CNN and some of these development programs. It's all about innovation. It's all about entrepreneurship. And it ties in with what my Excellency said earlier, that the private sector would be the conduit to drive this agenda. Government is not just a few people. Government is you and I. And we are the private sector too. So we are joined inextricably, and we must do the work together. Now, let me come back to the role of Lointa Capital Partners in achieving all that I've said. When Mr. Eric Inton made his remark, he said something quite interesting about what Afreximbank stands for. I'll take the second line, where he said, he actually mentioned about fostering trade and also preparing the private sector to take what's available, all the opportunities they offer as Afreximbank. One of the things that we are known for and which we continue to do from Afreximbank and other partners. Since we've been in this market, we are happy to let you know that we've arranged in excess of 100 United States dollars into Liberia alone. Since 2009, that's Loita. 2019, sorry, that Loita opened its doors here. We've done in excess of 100 million United States dollars. We stand ready. We stand ready, and we are willing to partner with all of you to get you ready and prepared to compete with the international market, to receive funding from our partners, Afreximbank, and other partners that may be deemed necessary on this journey. Thank you once again. Thank you, Liberia. Thank you, Afreximbank. God bless Africa. Thank you.
Good morning to you all. Thank you, moderator. You pronounced my name very well. How do people get the pronunciation of my surname right? So I'd like to stand on existing protocols to deliver this goodwill message. I bring you warm greetings from the board and management of Oakwood Bay Africa Limited. We are grateful that once again, Liberia has not only welcomed Afreximbank onto its shores, but also that Liberians have come out once again to listen to the message of Afreximbank regarding trade. We also wish the prophet of the audience granted us to congratulate you all for the successful and peaceful elections and the smooth transition from one democratic government to another. Please clap. Because that is the potential to the world. The fact that we are here once again with Afreximbank and our fellow partners is an indication of not only the growing partnership between Oakwood Bay Africa and the bank, as well as its other partners in Liberia, but also of the interest in ensuring that we as an organization contribute positively to the economic development of the people of Liberia by leveraging the roadshows to create awareness of the various funding and structuring support available to businesses as well as banks. Our journey as Oakwood Bay with Afreximbank on the Africa Trade Roadshow series has taken us to the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Ghana, and yet again, Liberia. We were here last year, and some of you were here with us. In addition to these roadshows, Oakwood Bay Africa prides itself for being a last-mile implementer of many of Afreximbank's initiatives and products. What that means is, when Afreximbank designs its products and initiatives, how do those initiatives get down to you? Yes, Afreximbank has offices, regional offices across the continent. The work in Africa is a lot, and sometimes it's difficult to reach every nook and cranny in Africa. That is the role we play. We make sure we take all of those initiatives and products and bring them to your doorstep, break them down, make them understandable to you in a manner that you can key in and ensure that you access them. Currently, we assist Afreximbank with trade finance facilities for banks and corporates, project finance for trade-related infrastructure, on-lending facilities to small and medium-scale enterprises, onboarding and uptake of the Mansan repository, the Pan-African Payments and Settlements System, the Trade and Regulations Platform, and the Africa Trade Exchange. All of these together are now called the Africa Trade Gateway. We are happy that you are here, and shortly you will get to hear of the Africa Trade Exchange, the Africa Trade Gateway, and how that will help you scale up your businesses. Currently, Oakwood Bay is an agent of the Mansa repository. What that means is we assist entities, corporates, financial institutions, and SMEs have themselves uploaded onto the Mansa platform. This provides you access to various initiatives and products of Afreximbank and makes you credible counterparties to entities that are looking forward to trading with you within Africa and outside Africa. We are also a key integrator of the PACS platform, which the Honorable Governor spoke so eloquently about. This would be useful to banks, but as well as banks' clients. And you'll get to hear more of that as well shortly. Engaging in this role demands significant effort, both in dedicating resources and time to maintain focus and secure a comprehensive grasp of various initiatives. This approach allows us to unravel the complexities tied to the technical aspects of these platforms and initiatives. We as Oku take on these challenges with pride, driven by our belief in the potential of Africans and Liberians indeed, wherever they may be, to harness the over 3 trillion market opportunity presented by the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. I'm sure many of you may have heard about that. The question is, how do you key into that opportunity? This is only feasible with a deep understanding of trade finance and structuring capabilities provided by institutions like Afreximbank and its partners. At last year's annual meetings of the bank, Oku spearheaded the successful introduction of the Africa Trade Gateway, which I just spoke about. Afreximbank has established a comprehensive platform for facilitating trade across the continent. And this is the Africa Trade Gateway. This gateway is pivotal in our pursuit of a unified currency, a goal many institutions have long aspired to achieve. If you have been following developments across the continent over time, you will realize that we have been at this for a very long time. And finally, we are here. We would like to urge you all to be attentive to the initiatives and products that Afreximbank has brought to your doorsteps. Liberia, like many other African nations, and as Lisa eloquently put it, is endowed with wealth, particularly in agriculture, the extraction sectors, and tourism. Our world as Africans lies beneath our feet. Accessing this wealth can only be done through financing and innovation. And that is what Afreximbank brings to our doorsteps today. As the Regional Chief Operating Officer mentioned, Mr. Inton mentioned in his delivery, Afreximbank has disbursed a little over $200 million to the Liberian country. But is this all Afreximbank can do for Liberia? I'll answer that no. There's more Afreximbank can do for Liberia. But we as businesses, as government, as the people, have to rise up to the challenge of keying into what Afreximbank has to offer and prepare ourselves to embrace the opportunity presented us. Currently, the AFDB estimates that Africa's infrastructure gap stands at between $130 billion to $170 billion. That's infrastructure alone. Some of this infrastructure, most of it contributes to the trade that we are seeking to achieve. The intra-Africa trade we are all seeking to achieve as a people. How do we package ourselves as countries, as people, to benefit from this? For the diverse enterprises joining us today, I'm delighted to affirm Oku Green Africa's dedication to supporting your growth. SMEs, the foundation of any nation, play a crucial role in propelling Liberia's economy forward. Through our Accelerate program, we're aiding SMEs across the continent in scaling, growing, and flourishing. The program aligns SMEs based on specific criteria, guiding them through a process we call the Bloom Journey. Now, this is a program that Oku Green has started to craft because we have realized that our SMEs in Africa are lacking financing. And as part of that, and because of that, it's really difficult to key into the various initiatives and opportunities that Africa provides as a continent. This afternoon, right after this and after lunch, we will be meeting SMEs in the same hall. So after lunch, we would like to implore that all SMEs stay behind. We would like to engage. We engaged some of you last year, and if there are any of you here, you will attest to the fact that we have taken our discussions with you forward. There are some SMEs who could not be engaged. We would like to do that as we are here once again. In conclusion, we would like to use this platform to express our gratitude to the board and management of Afreximbank. By extension, Eric and his team who cover the bank's activities across Anglophone West Africa, for not only lending their support to the economic growth of Liberia and all other countries they have so far held roadshows in, but also for supporting the concept of the roadshow in Liberia when we first presented it to them. That they have decided to anchor this year's edition is a further testament of their belief in this initiative. We are grateful. Now more than ever, it is important for Africa-focused multilateral financial institutions, such as Afreximbank, to not only carry out their role of financial intermediation, but also to embrace partnerships in doing so. In this vein, we are happy to have Loiter Capital Partners and Target Incorporated on this journey of advancing economic development in Liberia through trade, as equal partners, working with Afreximbank to bring prosperity to the people of Liberia. Our principle as Open in Africa remains Ubuntu. I am because you are. And our mantra enabling greatness across Africa. Open Africa remains committed to the visions and dreams of our forebears, and to quote Dr. Nkrumah of Ghana, it is clear that we must find an African solution to our problems, and that this can only be found in African unity. Divided, we are weak. United, Africa can become one of the greatest forces for good in the world. Let us join hands in fostering economic prosperity in Liberia through the power of trade, by nurturing partnerships, embracing innovation, and promoting sustainable practices. We can pave the way to a brighter future for all. Together, let's work towards building a thriving economy in Liberia that uplifts communities, empowers individuals, and unlocks the full potential of Liberia. I'd like at this point to invite the chairman of Open in Africa for a few final words. Thank you very much for your attention.
Good afternoon. I stand on existing protocols. My name is Ines, and I hope the words I speak will touch your hearts. Africa's trade. Africa's trade. Africa's trade. Trade Africa. Oh, sorry. I mean Africa's trade. But then again, is that how we do on a daily? We trade Africa, bit by bit. With each rubbish policy, our leaders trade us with no apologies. They put Africa on the black market, trades that brings us no profit, but plunge us to our debts. So, my fellow kingsmen here, today, we are here to address the elephant in this room, that within our Zoom, there has been a tear. A tear wrapped up in a red cloth, blinding our eyes from the pit that we dug and buried ourselves in to hide from the minerals that flows above the surface. Our bodies have been dripped in the water of lies, our tongue-tied, ears sharp, but our mouths afraid to say what we see. So we pretend that we do not see our economy holding a slogan that says, too easy. See, our thoughts have been poisoned with the woman won't cup mentality in our minds, so we foolishly move. No guidance. We live for the moment. We forget that the rain does not fall on one man's roof. We are left in total confusion, asking if our mother Africa would be left a damsel in distress, but yet we allow our hearts to lay to rest, turning our heads left and right. our economy was promised. Just countless of hands holding our economy down, so we start to wonder, when will our time come? Well, today, I tell you, liberation is here. Freedom is here. Liberation is here for our continent with great wealth. See, through African strength, we can bite down the hands of those wolves who held us down for ages, making wages to sustain our villages. Today, we are here to watch new hands take control of not just the wheel, but the entire car. For it is said that a tree cannot stand without its roots. So together we move, bit by bit, to ensure that our roots must not be held down, to ensure that the soil in which our tree is planted remains strong, remembering that Africa's trade is the way, to promote Africa's trade, remembering that Africa is our pride. A hint to the wise is quite sufficient.
Thank you very much, Julius. Indeed, there is opportunity for connections. That is why Afreximbank sponsors Connecting Africa CNN. Julius is one of our daily hosts on one of the popular shows in Liberia. We don't see him every day, but I have the opportunity to be here. Mr. Conco here is a couple of mine. I knew him as a businessman since I was in 10th grade, 14 years ago. The problem is aware, it's my childhood playlist. If you are a Liberian who knows about sour taxi, or rubber guns, or the last wheels that would drive with you, we did that together. His father was my school principal. And the Deputy Minister for Commerce is a friend of mine, Mr. Lolo, Benedict Lolo. And a lot of people in the audience that I recognize. So this is Connecting Liberia. So Harold Piton, Regional Director for Africa, for West Africa, Anglo from West Africa. Our Honorable Minister of Commerce, Honorable Mudat. Our Governor, Roadshow, the staff and team from Loetra, from EJS and Oakwood, we say thank you very much for this event. And we recognize our trade unionists. I see the manufacturers union, I see friends from the business community. So thank you very much. To speak for the Minister of Finance of any country is not a small task. And to speak for Honorable Boyman Kamara, one of the leading economists, young economists, who have had experience in the financial sector, in the fiscal affairs management, in academia, as well as continent-wide research on economic issues, is an even harder task. So, beg your indulgence, I will do my best to live up to the task that he has assigned me. So on behalf of the Government of Liberia, led by Honorable His Excellency Joseph Mabaka, the President, and in the name of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, I bring you greetings. And I can say at this point, this early in our transition, there can be no better time to highlight the opportunities that we all have in our hands. Yes, there are challenges, but with every challenge comes opportunity. Hence, the common saying, every dark cloud has a silver lining. Meaning, when we are faced with challenges like what Liberia faces now, it's also the time to bring together all heads and hands and hearts to find out the ways that we can navigate those challenges. Liberia has a long history with multinational institutions we know of the World Bank, we know of the IMF, and the complaints that were often made of their conditionalities. Now, we know that there is another way that Africa, that Liberia, can meet this challenge using the concept of the low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit does not always mean the most worthless fruit or the least valuable fruit, but it also means opportunities that are right at hand. So as a theme of this, one day Roadshow says advancing economic development in Liberia through trade, and the opportunity is to highlight the importance of trade in bank mandate. What is the mandate of the Afreximbank? As I said, import-export financing. And to also improve and expand intra-African trades. From the Liberian perspective, there are a few examples that we can just highlight. And this came up many years ago, about 10 years back, when I attended a workshop on capital leasing at one of the hotels in Monrovia. This was organized by the National Port Authority. Opportunities for intra-African trade in the Liberian context. Look at Liberia's situation in the Mano River Basin, Africa, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. Do you know, I'm sure you do if you look at the map of the Mano River here, that the port of Monrovia is closer to Western Africa than the port of Abidjan. The port of Monrovia is closer to southeastern Liberia, covering Mesquita to Muzerikori, than is the port of Conco. The port of Monrovia is closer to eastern Sierra Leone, from O to Kenema, than the port of Freetown. Isn't that an opportunity for intra-African trade beginning in the Mano River Basin? That is where we, Liberians, government, business people, bankers, can leverage the opportunities offered by the Afreximbank in terms of infrastructure development. For example, what is hampering the transport of goods from Monrovia to Western Africa to Southeast Guinea or to Eastern Sierra Leone? Simple infrastructure. The roads are not as developed as they will be to facilitate 24-hour road transport. The air linkages almost don't exist. We don't have rail connections that will facilitate the movement of human freight. Again, here's an opportunity that Afreximbank offers, so that businesses together can come up with creative ideas in terms of blueprints for connecting the West African Mano River regions. And our governments in these countries can guarantee investment, capital access for these companies to invest in the road infrastructure, for businesses to invest in tradable goods and services that can be exchanged across these borders. And how can the government of Liberia, under the current administration, help businesses to take advantage of that? One question comes to mind. For businesses to trust in government policies, for banks to trust in government policies, for international financiers or financial intermediaries in Afreximbank to believe what the government says, we have to take deliberate steps to lower the sovereign risk. What does that mean? Because right here, talk about the problem that banks and businesses are having with government-backed securities. And this was a problem that this government, through the Ministerial of Finance, began to tackle immediately upon taking office. We'll get more to that later on. But we, at the Ministry of Finance, have already begun engaging with the commercial banks. We have begun engaging with the central Central Bank of Liberia. In fact, as I speak, I let the governor know we arrived here that this afternoon at 4 o'clock, we're going to have a meeting to discuss some of the issues that cause the government through the Ministry of Finance to default on guarantees that it makes to the commercial bank. Out of guarantee from its own interventions in the market through T-bonds or T-bills, or guarantee of contractors who took pre-financing loans from commercial banks. That problem can be solved if government's own liquidity position is well managed. And the best way to do that is to coordinate with the Central Bank of Liberia. When the Central Bank gave the signal to the commercial bank that yes, the fiscal authorities are in good standing, the fiscal policies are well managed, the commercial bank become encouraged to support government-related financial transactions that involve the private sector, i.e. businesses. And other examples of the multi-sectoral interventions that Afreximbank has made will be well enumerated: the road in bombing, the financing of the road to the airport, and the intervention in the construction of Chama. What this shows is that this bank is not limited to a particular sector. So this is a signal. Chama, for example, is a private enterprise. This is a signal to businesses here that, oh, if a health facility can be funded through Afreximbank, why not an education facility? Why not an agricultural farm? Why not even tourism that has now become a new sector that the president has highlighted? In fact, if you read in the government's policy, the manifesto, to emphasize that tourism is going to be one of the leading growth sectors in the coming years, a tourism commission is going to be established, detaching that responsibility from the Ministerial of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. In that case, that body become more like a SOE, more like a public corporation in the beginning of our national case. For example, they can interact with private stakeholders and ensure that tourist attraction Liberia become a tourist destination as are most of our neighboring countries. Another way to prove that the government is committed to partner with the public, with the private sector, which of course will be of interest to institutions like Afreximbank as well as the commercial bank, lie in the interventions that the government intends to prioritize. That is the arrest agenda. Starting with agriculture. We all know everywhere around the world, including Liberia, agriculture is dominantly led by the private sector. Farmers, concession companies, vegetable growers are all private people. But what is government responsibility? Policies that open the markets, policies that lead to good prices, policies that lead to increased access to capital. So when the government identifies agriculture as a priority, we should not expect to see large government funds. No. What you should expect to see are policies that encourage the commercial banks to feel willing and to be flexible in financing investment in the agriculture sector. Then the cost of funds that Mr. Bright talked about. What sort of intervention, what sort of partnership can the government and possibly the central bank and institutions like Afreximbank, what partnership can they form to ensure that the interest charged to investors in the agriculture sector, for example, is moderated? Will, for example, be like subsidizing portion of certain rate over and above what is acceptable? Those are all options that we can consider. Road construction, of course. All the companies around here, whether foreign or domestic, are all privately owned. These companies will need it last and get on the road. They don't have all the resources at once because government budgets for the project on a multi-year basis. If a project like the ROI highway, which is over 100 billion, that 100 billion is not available in any single fiscal year. It's going to be paid over time. But in order for the construction to continue uninterrupted, there have to be alternative, which comes through the commercial bank with advanced credits to the construction companies, and when the government disburses, they repay. Rule of law. Yes, one will say, but that is exclusively a government thing. Whether it's the security services, whether it is the judiciary or others, there is still an element of private sector involvement. Rule of law, for example, cases arising from contracts and business disputes, they largely involve the private sector. So government showing its commitment to the rule of law, to the sanctity of contract, to the full functioning of the commercial code, for example, will give encouragement. It will give further impetus to private sector to say, yes, Liberia is a place where if you lose a dialogue, you will get the reason why you lost the dialogue. Education, I already mentioned that. We have universities. We have TVET schools. We even have secondary schools. In this day and age, in the day of digitalization, what can private investors do to make learning environment suitable for the modern age? In what way can government and the private sector collaborate to, for example, advance e-learning, so that university students who may not be well or they may be otherwise indisposed don't miss out if they don't go to class physically, so that they can get their lessons and instructions on the school website. Of course, that is the internet, that is RT. Government doesn't provide RT services, the private sector do. How can the government, the private sector, investors, and the banks, for example, ensure that education in this day gets modernized? That is one area that hope or element of the agenda can be a joint venture between government and the private sector. There are also sanitation. We walk through the streets of Monrovia, through the major cities of Liberia. The entry and exit to every major town, you are greeted by amounts of garbage. City corporations, including Monrovia, Paisley, and all the cities around Liberia, they are unable to collect garbage and dispose of them in reasonable time and in environmentally safe locations. These services will be outsourced, provided there are suitable business plans, there are suitable investment plans, including recycling, including converting waste to agricultural inputs and fertilizer or other things. This will require financing, this will require investment, this will require pre-financing from the commercial banks. Government and businesses and the commercial banks can work together, in some cases using facilities provided by institutions like Afreximbank to carry that out, and it makes us all to live in a safe and sanitary environment. Of course, tourism, as I mentioned, is a new growth sector that we've identified, and it's linked to so many things. We've all traveled around the world, we've all gone for conferences where there is a day that they take us out on a tour. In some cases, we may have visited an agricultural farm to see the animals and the plants grow. Or we went to some forest region of a given country, and we pay money to enter and take pictures and post it on social media or send it to our loved ones. That is a whole industry by itself. And that industry rises from all the others that I have named. Agriculture, because the tourists and those who live in the tourist area will rely on food production. On roads must connect areas areas of agricultural production to areas of consumption or to markets. Rule of law, education, sanitation, and tourism, the linkages between them all is that it will require a huge amount of cooperation, collaboration, and coordination between government, between private investors, and between those who control the means of finance, i.e. the commercial banks and international financial institutions like Afreximbank. And as I mentioned, policies that the government intends to pursue to ensure that concepts like those promoted by Afreximbank and its partners, be it NASCO, be it IVA, Oakwood, or Loiter, to ensure that these concepts translate from ideas to actual practical realities, the government must see itself as the empire of the game. An empire, or we call referees in Liberia, must also know the rules of the game. The rules of the financial market is credit. The term credit essentially means trust. So when the president at his initial address about 2 months ago mentioned the need for Liberia to improve its credit rating in order to regain its status in the community of nations, there were many things out of that. There are many dimensions to that, and we'll get to that later on. The risk of suspension from the African Development Bank, for example, a bank that was funded by Liberia, a bank that had one headed by a Liberian, for the country to get expelled or suspended from it would have been a serious blow to its international reputation, especially at the very early stage of a new administration. The government moved quickly to resolve that issue and make the payments that were due. The risk of being suspended, the risk of losing its status, that is voting rights, at the African Union, an organization conceived in Liberia, of which Liberia is a founding member. One of the first 15 or so founding members, if I'm correct, depending on the number of countries that existed at the time. What would that have meant for a new government, a new administration, and even Liberia as a nation? The government also moved to address the funding obligations, and you saw that a full delegation of Liberia from Liberia attended the AU summit in Addis Ababa. And one of the things that also at risk was the commercial banks. As I mentioned earlier, the advance of credit to the construction companies who work for government. And when government doesn't pay the construction company, they don't pay the banks. So non-performing loan was becoming a problem for the commercial banks. And that was also becoming a problem for their goals, and it was becoming a problem for their external corresponding banks. So in the past few weeks, the Ministerial of Finance and the Liberia Bankers Association have been negotiating, and they have come to some settlement that the government of Liberia takes full responsibility for all the loans that were guaranteed out for businesses, as well as its own interventions in the market through TPO. And the plan is now on our way to restructure those loans and be current on the payment of interest. And what that update to was not only that the construction companies were facing challenges with the commercial banks, but Liberian businesses were having challenges accessing foreign capital. Because if the commercial banks are interacting with a government that has very low credit rating, it makes the financial market, it makes the financial market a place that cannot be trusted with foreign capital. Because if the bank lend to both government and contractors, and they are not able to collect the money, no foreign investor, no foreign owners of capital will be encouraged to deposit money in these banks. So that is a challenge we saw, that is an issue we saw on a broader scale, and decided to tackle it head on. And we can assure you that Mr. Governor, your police in the banking association will soon be reporting to you that we are addressing those issues. So what will happen if this problem, if the government re-engage with the commercial banks? What will happen if the government restore its credibility with the commercial banks? These are a few examples. Liberia will once again become an attractive destination for investors. I mentioned that. There will be opportunities for equal flow of finance, foreign exchange meaning. And we'll have equal flow of foreign exchange. We have a higher capital account balance. It helps the central bank reserve. It helps our exchange rate, and it helps prices on the market since we are mainly an import-dominated consuming society. So we can see then the role of government in facilitating the ease of transaction for all sectors of the economy, not only the bank, but even households and small-scale businesses. And as I mentioned earlier, what I've tried to do just a few minutes ago is to describe the various dimensions when the President said, returning to the Community of Nations. There is a diplomatic dimension to that. I mentioned the risk of losing voting status at the World Bank, at the African Union, and there is a trade dimension. Afreximbank and its parent company, the African Development Bank, help to facilitate trade. How will that happen when trade is facilitated through commercial banks? When commercial bank can no longer guarantee international transactions because of government disengagement, because of government default on its own obligations. And there's also the finance dimension. In order for international commercial institutions or financial institutions to trust our financial system, to put money into it that we all can use either for investment, both our government businesses, or that we can borrow for consumer loans, we have to show on all sides, especially from government, that we are creditworthy. Like I said, the term credit in the financial sector, credit and trust mean essentially the same thing. To be creditworthy means to be trustworthy. I mean, you can honor your own guarantee. Just how if I issue a check and the check gets rejected at the bank, I lost my creditworthiness. I also lost my customer trust. The same happens to government. If you take T-bonds, you take T-bills that cannot be honored, that cannot be retired, or that cannot be serviced through interest payment, for example. So in conclusion, the government of Liberia, through the Ministerial of Finance in particular, welcomes Afreximbank's willingness to cooperate with Liberian institutions, including businesses and governments, to advance trade and investment in Liberia. And we also welcome the interventions of your partners, Loeta, Oakwood, Ibat, NASFA, and all the businesses that you will have interacted. And we are happy that you are being hosted by our Minister of Commerce and Industry. So this means that the product that you have to offer is something that is beneficial to our trade and commerce. If the Minister of Commerce buys it, we all have to consume it. So this means. And so, as I started, we hope that when we all work together, we'll put all the products and services together and do it right. Just how we see connecting Africa on CNN, we will see connecting Liberia, where it's a family doesn't have to go all the way around Conco, Banga to bring his goods to Monrovia. EJS travel straight from Lima down to the port to export his gold, where the manufacturers union and their companies, while they produce in Monrovia,
the next maturity, the next installment of their loan to the financial institutions of the US, the IMF, and the World Bank in the next 4 days. That is on the 16th of October 1982. But that we were unable to pay. And that triggered many countries in Latin America, 16 of them, to follow suit, to say, we are also not going to pay. And that then resulted in 11 African countries to say we are also not able to pay. And that created the debt crisis of the 1980s. It is at that juncture that African heads of states came together. Now, what is this problem? That each time there is a global crisis, Africa is the highest hit continent. Africa will suffer the worst of the effects of any global crisis. And they said, let us create a bank that will support African entities, African governments, African SMEs to promote and finance their country. That is what led to the creation of Afreximbank, or what is also called African Export-Import Bank. 1982, when the debt crisis started, it then gave the opportunity for our leaders to think and create their own bank. Today, Afreximbank is 30 years old, or 31 years old, to be precise. It was created with a mandate to promote, facilitate, and finance intra and extra-African trade. To promote, to facilitate, and to finance. And there are two ways an entity benefits from the facilities of Afreximbank. You either benefit directly, that means your balance sheet is big enough, you can apply directly to Afreximbank, or you go through one of our partners, Loiter, Habib, Ogo, Green Africa, and apply for the facilities and say, I want a loan to finance A, B, C. Afreximbank will review it and request for the credit information that will enable them to do their due diligence. And the facility will be approved. If a presentation comes on, I will ask my colleagues to move the slides and perhaps turn the screen so that I can come down. It's always good when you're explaining, because this is where it's very important for you to understand where you can give. If somebody can turn the screen so that people can read, since we don't have a big screen here. Oh, okay, you can see it. Fine. So I will say that there are two ways you benefit from the financing of Afreximbank. Either directly, if you meet our minimum risk acceptance criteria, you will apply directly to those facilities, to any of them that I'm going to show you a number of them. Like I said, do not seek to understand everything. Pick and choose what relates to you. So, we work with you and the commercial bank together and develop a structure so that you are clear with them. The commercial bank is the borrower of record, also clear with them, and Afreximbank is the lender. So you see, nobody is left out. But we've gone a step further. How do we help SMEs? Those big corporates that have the financial muscles, they have the ability to be able to do their financials, pay for their audited financials. They even understand a lot of the technology. They are well capacitated. They are trained. But what about the SMEs? The problem of the SMEs is not only financing. Financing is one of the many problems. There is a problem of capacity building and training. So we have a specialized SME program where we work with our export development and train you. How do you prepare bookkeeping? I am an accountant by training myself. So I can teach you bookkeeping in 1 hour and you'll be able to keep it. I've done it for more than 20 years. I can teach you in 1 hour and you'll be able to keep records and be able to prepare a financial statement. So that when an accountant looks at it, we say this person knows what he or she is doing. It's very important to record records. So we work with you, we train you, so that you understand. My colleagues will be talking about other facilities and our digital solution, how to help you get on the world stage, sitting in your comfort zone here in Liberia. This is why we are coming here to sit and discuss. I'm very happy with the attendance. I'm very pleased. I see a lot of young people, I see a lot of people listening with a lot of passion. I've watched very carefully. One thing comes out very clear. We all want not just to move our individual lives forward, we all want to move this country forward. We are sick and tired of these external solutions that come all the time. We want to build our own solutions to our own African problem. This was said by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah many years ago, and today we see that it's a testament to that. So I want to thank you for your patience. I want to thank you for your participation. I want you to challenge yourself that before I leave here, I have one thing that I'm going to do. Otherwise, there's no reason why we're here. We're here because we want to help ourselves, we want to grow your business. My very beautiful lady, thank you for inspiring us with your poem. It's very inspirational. I will encourage you to keep doing the same thing. From today, you're going to be part and parcel of Afreximbank. Join us in this journey to see how we can emancipate African economy. So is somebody moving the slides so that I can quickly go through them? Is somebody moving the slides, please? Okay. So this is the background that I told you why the bank was created. In the 80s, you see, I said, the finance minister, Jesus Silva, declaring on August 12 to the chairman of the Federal Reserve, IMF, and the US Treasury, of being unable to meet their debt obligation of $80 million at that time. And that figure was due, that amount was due on the 16th of August. That then resulted in many other Latin American countries also declaring a default, and then 11 African countries. That's why African Health President said, enough is enough, let's create our own. The then president of the African Development Bank, the late Dr. Babacar Jaye, commissioned the first study, market and feasibility study, that led to the establishment of Afreximbank. It's always important to know this bank. Liberia has been a founding member of Afreximbank, but we have not disbursed more than 191 million since inception. That is too small. Mr. Igal told you people that Afreximbank is what? A 40 billion on and off balance sheet bank. 40 billion US dollars, right? You are exclaiming, are we even shocking them more? About 50% of that money is managed by me and my team. 50%, about 50%. Nigeria, Anglophone regional office covers 7 countries. Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, the Gambia, Cape Verde, and Sao Tome and Principe. Today, the balance sheet of the bank, on and off balance sheet, is about 40 million. The balance sheet of the Anglophone regional office, out of the 6 regional offices that we have, is about 19 billion. That means that money is just here at your doorstep, at the doorsteps. That means you can easily tap into it. And that's why we're here, to explain to you how you can be part and parcel of this. So it's in your region where you actually belong. A bulk of that money. Today, my exposure in Nigeria is $10 billion US. My exposure in Ghana is about $2 billion US dollars. How much is my exposure in Liberia? Who can guess?
50 million.
Just slightly above 50 million. That is what we say we want to put in at least between 200 to 500 million. That's what we're coming now. Yesterday we had meetings with the Minister of Trade or Commerce and Industry, Minister of Finance, and all the deputy ministers. We also had a meeting with the company East International that is doing the construction of the roads to understand, and we even gave them our feedback. Yes, you're making the road very big. I was telling them, I want to see the road dualized because it is still discipline. I want to see it, and I'll be coming to come and check. It has to be done well so that you will foster development along that road. That's a trade corridor. Once that road is finished, you're going to see a lot of businesses springing up there. And there are many other opportunities. We have those people. Why are we having this engagement? We are telling them, and I was very pleased with the speech, the keynote address of the Deputy Minister of Finance, who is telling us what they are trying to do to free up the bank loans in the commercial banks. We give facilities to commercial banks, we give to SMEs, we give to corporates. But we need the support of the commercial banks. For instance, if you are an SME and you do not qualify to apply directly, we work with the commercial banks and provide you a solution. So, if you go back to the history, why Afreximbank was created, is to bring our own solution to our people. Next slide. The mandate, as I said, is to promote, finance, and facilitate intra and extra African trade. Afreximbank is headquartered in Cairo, Egypt. I've been working in Egypt for 9 years before I was asked to come and head this regional office, which is the biggest regional office of the bank, which is your regional office. So we encourage a lot of you, when we start the engagement, please feel free to come to Abuja. That's where the regional office is. We're actually completing a new regional office, which I'm going to tell you about. It's called the Afreximbank Africa Trade Center. It will comprise a 4-star hotel, 2 tall buildings of 9 stories each. One will be a 4-star hotel of 147 rooms. So when you come, you will not lack a place to sleep in. And we'll have office spaces, what we call the Africa Trade Center and the library. A lot of the digital solution that my colleague Obina will be talking about will be warehoused in the regional offices, even though electronically you can access them online. But when you visit, you can go into the knowledge center and find them. So we have the first regional office was opened in Harare, Zimbabwe. The second was the one in Abuja, which I had. That was Anglophone West Africa. The third was opened in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, which looks after Francophone West Africa. The fourth was opened in Kampala, Uganda. That covers East Africa. So all the East African countries, i.e. Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Ethiopia, they are covered out of the East. And the reason is for us to be closer. That's why it's easy for me to fly from Abuja and come here. Right? The last but not the least regional office was opened in Yaoundé, Cameroon. That was after Central African regional countries and the DRC. And the newest baby in the house is our CARICOM office, opened last year in Barbados. Barbados, in Bridgetown, Barbados. This is a way for us to reconnect with our brothers and sisters of the Caribbean. If you remember slave trade, and you know Africa map very well, the left side of the Africa map, that faces the Atlantic Ocean. You look at from Mauritania, Mauritania down to Rwanda, you go and go into the grooves around where Cameroon is, Gabon, come down to Rwanda. It is that axis that slave trade took place. So all of us here, we have our family members in one of the Caribbean countries because they took some of them and went there. So that's why for 20 years, African Union, in the spirit of uniting Africa, what we now call Global Africa, started fighting to find a way for us to reunite our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. And Afreximbank took that battle. In 2022, we organized the first Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum. By the time we're organizing the second edition, we have already opened a regional office there. And we have colleagues working there. Please, let's go together for the opportunity to reunite our brothers and sisters of the Caribbean. So that's the 6th regional office that we have. Now, Afreximbank has 4 classes of shares. Class A is African countries like Liberia, represented by the Ministry of Finance, Central Bank. Class B is African private sector. So any Liberian entity that buys shares in Afreximbank becomes part of Class B. So classes A and B remains Africa, and also epitomize what? A clear proof of public-private partnership. The government represent Class A, and the private sector, African private sector, represent Class B. It's a clear marriage between the public sector and the private sector. And Class C, we have the international institution and the international investors. We are open to investment. So they came, they took shares. We have the Standard Chartered Bank, Citibank, China Exim Bank, India Exim Bank, Russia Export Agency, and so on and so forth. We have a lot of African banks that belong to Class B, but we have the international bank that belong to Class C. And the Class D is listed on the Mauritius Stock Exchange, and it's open to any other class. We are investment grade, as you can see. A, the stable outlook by GCR, BA1 by Moody's, BBB by Fitch, all with stable outlook. That puts us above investment grade. That means that as I give you loans, we can issue guarantees. Guarantee. Next slide, please. This just is a picture of this presentation will be made available so you can read. It's a picture of where we are located. The Caribbean is listed there, but at least I've explained that is our newest addition. Next slide, please. So Afreximbank operates on the basis of 5-year strategic plan, and this is very important for you to understand. This is one of those things that I would like you to note down. That is important. And let me tell you one secret. I've been in the banking sector for 20 years. One of the ways we access the financing from any bank, not only Afreximbank, is to understand their strategy. What are their areas of focus? And I will tell you why it is important to understand. Please, if you are sleeping, wake up. If you are doing WhatsApp, stop. Just listen for 2 minutes. The reason is when you structure your application and request a bank to finance, you structure it in a way that it aligns with their strategy. It's easy for them to process the application. If you agree with me, please clap for me. If you structure your application the way it aligns with the strategy of the bank, it doesn't matter whether it's Afreximbank. If you structure the application that way, then it's easy for the bank. I don't know what is happening. You know, when good things are about to happen, that's how the devil comes and start disturbing us. But the devil is a liar. All right, we're back. I hope you can hear me. I try to put the microphone in the way that I don't shout so that I can get you, especially now that you have this. So if you understand the strategy of any bank, be it Blue Bank or any bank, and know the area they are focusing on, do a bit of work at home, structure your deal to align with that strategy. Think. The problem is do not allow laziness to overtake you. So I have a long day and so on. No. Sit down and just think. I want to do this. Is there a way I can package it to align? Bloomberg or EcoBank or Afreximbank, they like to finance things that are related to intra-African trade. Can I link this thing that this is my application? I want this money so I can be buying things from Liberia. Here, I'm going to sell it. Can I do it like that? Why? Because you know that Afreximbank is focusing on what? Promoting intra-African trade. This is very, very important. Okay? So Afreximbank operates on the basis of 5-year strategic plan. We are currently implementing our 6th strategic plan. Don't worry, if the microphone goes on, I can speak loud enough. I used to be a teacher. We are implementing our 6th strategic plan, right? Which stands on 4 pillars. Those pillars, I try to do a picture. It's not pillar of the house, it's just to visualize it. The first one is what? Inter-African trade and import, so that we can trade. So you see that industrialization and export development is closely linked to inter-African trade. If you want to trade with Guinea, want to trade with Cote d'Ivoire, want to trade with Sierra Leone, want to trade with Nigeria, want to trade with Ghana, want to trade with Cameroon, we need those good manufacturers. And it's very easy to think in that light. You just say, what does Liberia have as natural resources? Let's encourage the implantation of those plants, the factories there, so that we can just harvest and go to the factory to use the food, and we can trade. So industrialization, if you have a plant you're building, you have a warehouse where you store, or you have a road you're opening, or you rail, or you have storage facilities, whatever, then you know that it falls within the current strategic plan of Africa. The third one is leadership in global trade bank in Africa. It's what we do. It appears not very clear, so don't worry about it. I will explain to you. We work with and through financial institutions. Afreximbank does not compete with financial institutions. Afreximbank complements what financial institutions do. That means that we work with the commercial banks, not only to give the loans, short-term, medium-term, and long-term, lines of credit, LC, data operating cooperation line, but also to work with them, like I explained earlier, how SMEs can benefit, to provide structuring facilities to meet your needs. So we know that some of the SMEs may not meet the Afreximbank risk assessment criteria directly. That's why we give facility to commercial banks, and we work with commercial banks to support SMEs like yourself. That is captured under pillar number 3. So if you are going to a commercial bank for financing, you say, okay, yes, you can give me Liberian dollar, but I need dollar to import equipment because I want to build my factory. And the Liberian bank is saying, oh, yes, you are good, you're a good customer, but I don't have enough money. You tell them, have you discussed Afreximbank? Can you find a solution for Afreximbank? I know Eric. I'm going to write to him. You can even introduce your bank to us. You can bring your bank to us. You can work with your financial advisor, say happy, say Babita, or Ogu, and say, please, I think with this Afreximbank, let's just work together to see our kind of solution. Don't see yourself as part of the person that will receive. Lending for development, what we call developmental commercial banking, as recently defined by our President, Conco, is a win-win in a passive position. Let me not design a term sheet and come and give you. You say, oh, because I need money, you just collect, I need to borrow, you start struggling to repay. No. You have to understand it. If it means I explain to you 20 times, so be it. So that by the time the financing is coming, you know clearly how you will repay. The reason why some people don't borrow, because they don't even know that you go and ask 20 questions. In fact, find this country around, you have your own bank. Afreximbank is your own bank. We must turn this country around. And I tell people like this. I tell people like this. You see, do you know why it's still working? You think that how much food are we eating today since you got on the phone? Maybe you're going to eat like me. Do you know why it's still working? Because he doesn't want to see people suffering. He wants to create jobs. It's not for him. demanded each and every one of us here. You are charged, when God bless you with grace, with opportunity, create more opportunity, hire more people. That is the way we are going to fight poverty in this country. That's the way we are going to emancipate ourselves economically. That's the way we are going to get our economic independence. That's the way we are going to move Liberia. I am not creating this into a church, but I'm telling you that the developmental agenda of Afreximbank and its member countries like Liberia, you must love it, you must dream it, you must sleep with it, you must wake up in it, you must think about it, you must challenge yourself. Why am I alive? And what am I doing to support myself and this country? And support other people, because when we move around and see challenges, people are struggling to benefit. It breaks my heart. I don't know how you guys feel. I used to work for Citibank. It's a commercial financial institution owned by Americans. They make their profit, they move, and that's their model. They operate like that. But I decided to move over to developmental commercial banking, which is what Afreximbank is doing. Because you want to give money that will impact lives. You want to give money when you see the way the road is being constructed and see how it's coming up. Tell me who is not happy to see that happen. Just tell me why. By the time you finish your 50 million facility, do you know how many people will gain jobs? Do you know how many people will gain new salaries? That is the spirit. So the strategy of the bank, I don't know why they are reducing the size. Please, can you, who is moving it? Can you enlarge it? The strategy of the bank is important for you to understand. Enlarge, please. Okay. I didn't say next, enlarge, make it bigger. I thought that way, yeah, exactly. We press them with the span, right? Okay, leave it like that. Since you succeeded in spoiling it, let's manage it that way. So that I know everything that is there, I will explain to you. So don't worry, you will read the slides. Let's not be distracted by that. So, you see the first pillar, international trade and the implementation of the AFCFT. We own the responsibility. You have a bank with the commercial banks, who are partners, with the advisors. We are all here to work with you to support, so that we can all promote trade among African countries and trade between Africa and the rest of the world. Today, inter-African trade, as stated by the AFCFTA Secretariat, stands only at 18%. If you look at intra-European trade, it's around 60%. Intra-Asian trade, it's around 70%. Is it that we hate ourselves? But when you look at African culture, we have the highest level of solidarity. When you have a problem, it is my problem. We will do somebody, we mourn for days together. So we are supposed to be teaching the world solidarity. The Western culture is not as collective as the African culture. Why are they doing things that are better? Whatever we are supposed to, we are the epitome of solidarity. We live together, we work together. So we should train on ourselves. But I know why. It's part of the colonial agenda. We're divided into the 55 agonistic countries just so we don't trade among ourselves. And in 2018, we came together to sign the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement to say no to the division that has led to the stagnation of economic development of the country. That is why I am encouraging you. You see, it is even the banners can rise up and say, yeah. It's just to tell you when you speak the truth. He said, if you cannot praise me, the rocks will get up and praise me. That's what is written, right? The banner just did that. So we have to understand. Then we move to industrialization and export development. We move to the support to the financial institution. And the last pillar, which is financial sustainability, is just to make sure that for me to continue supporting me as Afreximbank to continue supporting you, I have to be financially sound and viable. That means my non-performing loan ratio has to be kept low, my capital adequacy has to be high enough. The last time I checked, our NPA ratio was around 23.25. which is below the central bank prescribed rate of 5%. 3.25, which is below the central bank prescribed cap of 5%. And our capital adequacy ratio, since I joined the bank, 2 days ago, today's 19, right? 14th of March, maybe 10 years in Afreximbank. 14 of March. Since I joined, the capital adequacy ratio has averaged around 23%. Basel III prescribed the minimum capital adequacy ratio for any Tier 1 bank to be 15%, but we have never been below 23%. Just to make sure that we are financially sound to continue. Next slide please. We intervene through giving loans. Any loan that you can imagine, we will give. Like I always say, don't mind about the name. What I call it, pre-export finance, pushment finance, structural trade finance, control facility, line of credit, medium-term loan, short-term loan, long-term loan, whatever. It's money, right? It's just like we're human beings. I'm called Eric, somebody is called Wisdom, somebody is called Obina, somebody is called Uju. We're all human beings. When you receive the money, whether you receive a salary, or you receive as a loan, or you receive it's money that you want. Okay? So we give all kinds of loans, even those that you've never heard of, we have it in Africa. And every facility is based on the purpose and the source of repayment that will then form the building blocks for us to structure what can work for you. You don't take a short-term loan. Short-term means no more than 1 year. You don't take a 1 year loan to build a factory. You will struggle. You take a medium-term loan. You have a grace period. Because during the time you are constructing the factory is not even producing money for you to be able to pay the facility. So when we are building a structure, we will say, let's build in 1 year, which is the construction period. Let's add another 6 months, which is when you start testing, test running the factory, before you start producing, selling, for you to be able to start repaying. This is what structuring is all about. That's the way it works for you. And that's what we say, it's your responsibility to make sure that the facility is well structured. Okay? We also give guarantees. Sometimes our facilities may not meet your needs. And you find cheaper money from somewhere in Europe. Let me move a bit to this side so that I shouldn't only be talking to one side. Sometimes you say, you know what, if you give me a guarantee, I will go to this bank and borrow cheaper. My guarantee pricing, I'm trying to address part of the problem that my brother, Mr. Bright, raised when he was speaking. He said the cost of fund that leads to high pricing. So sometimes my guarantee pricing is small. I will issue a guarantee on your behalf in favor of another bank outside the continent. That bank will give you cheaper money because once I guarantee you, the bank is taking my risk as a prisoner. So you add my guarantee pricing plus the cheaper pricing of that bank, you end up with a much cheaper facility. So it's a very creative way of working together. That's why I said structuring a deal that works for you is your business. So that I don't go and approve something that it gets forced down your throat and you cannot consume it. So this is very important. And we also provide advisory and capital market. We have worked with Loyalta, with Habit and Oakwood a lot of time to handhold you and do the heavy lifting, take you through the journey, like the blue journey that Oakwood has put in place, to take SMEs at a level where they are not yet bankable. You need to take yourself to bankability. They train you, build your capacity, train you how to do bookkeeping, train you how to work with auditors, study a financial statement, train you on corporate governance requirements. When I'm giving money, there's something they call a bank key man risk. Who has ever heard about key man risk? Nobody has heard about key man risk.
I know.
You know key man risk?
Yes.
So when you come as a promoter, and this is how bankers think, I'm revealing a lot of secrets that most bankers do not tell. This is when you approach us as an SME or as a promoter, whether you're first thing that will go to their mind is that if this man tomorrow is not there, what happens to my money when I die? That's what they call key man risk. Right? To address key man risk, they try to insist that you put in place good corporate governance that entails succession planning. If you are not there, there will be a new person that will take over. So that the company continues and it can repair. This is part of the hand-holding and heavy lifting work that the advisors do. Sometimes I may be traveling, like now I'm here, somebody is waiting for me in Ghana or in Nigeria, I am not there. So when you have an advisor, you work with them, they will tell you, you know what, everything is centered around you. Tomorrow when you are not there, God forbid, we don't want you to die now. But if you are not there, what happens? Once they can't see that, they start on their way. They may not tell you directly. So part of the work that our partners do is to help you address the corporate governance issue, prepare you for readiness for finance. Do you understand? I don't know what I follow. So it's very important. Okay? So you prepare yourself and then you come to application. That is why we partner with them to advise you. So we do credit, which is all the loans and state guarantees, all types of guarantees, short, medium term, and long term guarantees, and advisory and capital. Liberia wants to issue a bond. We can work with them, take them to the euro market. They want a company wants to issue a bond, they want to raise additional capital. Not necessarily from Afreximbank, from other institutions. We can also work with them. So those are the three instruments of intervention. Whatever I'm going to tell you falls within these three broad categories of instruments of intervention. Next slide. All right. I decided to change the way we do our presentation because it's important to understand the way Afreximbank is structured. Me standing here, I am the head of client relation. Client relation means the person who manages customer relationship. So your day-to-day contact, your door's way into Afreximbank goes through the client relation. We call it CLR. Some people call it Claire. I don't know how to pronounce it that way, but that's how some people call it. So the client relation is responsible for the day-to-day interaction. That's why wisdom, please, if you can stand. Where's Adese? Is she here? You are inside the moving slides. Wisdom and Adese are the dedicated client relation officer for Liberia. That means any request you have, be it project finance, advice and capital market, these are the with escalation to the head of client relation, which is not here, was here, they had personal relation, family emergency, couldn't be here. And then me. So we are the client relations. The beauty about us, it allows you to get some understanding of all the programs and facilities of the bank, and you can relate with the customer. So if I listen to you, I will know whether you need project finance. I listen to him, I will know whether he needs trade finance. I listen to her, I will know that she needs export development finance. I will listen to him, I will know that he needs advice and capital market. I will listen to the next person, I know whether they need a project preparation facility, and so on and so on. So the client relation is responsible for relationship management, your doorway and your day-to-day contact at the bank. You now go below, you see various product departments. You see trade finance, trade, import and export. It's a department in Afreximbank. It has expert training to structure transactions related to trade finance. And Uju, please. Uju is the head of financial institutions and sovereigns in the trade finance department. The bulk of our transactions that we do in Afreximbank are in the trade finance. In fact, trade finance accounts for about 40 to 60% of what we do in Afreximbank. So Uju, that's why she's here. She'll be telling you about some of the precise product. So what Wisdom and Ada will do, and myself, is that if you're transferring in trade finance, we will work with Uju and other colleagues in Cairo in the trade finance department to develop a structure that works for you. Now, if your transaction is project and asset-based finance, which means project finance, we will bring other colleagues with expertise in structuring project and asset-based lending. Again, you see the client relation is always there. Then, if your your facility relates to intra-African trade. That means that even though it's a trade finance, there is trade between Liberia and Sierra Leone or Guinea or any other country. We have specialists also in the intra-African trade department that will work. If your request is related to export development, we know internally the classification. The internal relations officer, we must bring in somebody from export development. A lot of times, your transaction will be related to trade finance, is also intra-African trade. You have two product persons working together to say that can be restructured. I don't know whether you follow. So your primary contact person is the relationship officer. Okay? With escalation to me and the director of client relations. So you have the client relationship management and the various products. You have trade finance, you have project and asset-based finance, you have intra-African trade plan, you have export development, you have guarantee and specialized finance, where we have a suite of guarantees, you have advisory and capital market, you have project preparation facility unit. So which offers the Afreximbank project facility, project preparation facility. All of these they are not middle office department, they are also front office because they are client facing. But the coordination is provided by the client relation. It's important that you know this interaction. So that is why when you send something to Wisdom or Adeze or myself or Peter who is not here, we will say we are bringing colleagues from a department. That is because we have reviewed your request, we understood what it is, and we know which department will bring us the technical expertise to be able to find a financing solution. Are we clear with this? I deliberately put it aside because usually people get confused. So Wisdom, you are the one that I know. Why are you wasting time? Why are you not sending me? Because internally that's the way we are organized. So I thought that it's important for us to know the internal organization of Afreximbank. So that when you're relating to them, you know what to expect. Alright? Next slide, please. Now, when you have sent your approval or your application, I want to highlight our credit approval process. A trade finance transaction takes you an average of 90 days, 3 months. International financing is not local lending, it's not local commercial banking. No, it's not. The facilities are documented pursuant to English law in African English countries, African English-speaking countries, and pursuant to French law in French-speaking African countries. That legal documentation only happens when you go through the credit approval. So what happens when you send in an application? When you send in an application, I don't know why the other one is not working. We will do what we call KYC clearance, know your customer clearance. It's a requirement of all banks, even the local commercial banks do it. They must know you, they must know your source of money to ask for documents. Please be patient and provide the requirement. If you don't know, ask for a call to set up so that they can explain line by line, you will understand. They are not difficult. If you are a company, you provide a certificate of incorporation, articles of memorandum of association, passport copies of the promoter, the shareholder, profiles of the board, their ID, all authorized signatures. Banks want to know who they are dealing with. Okay? That's part of KYC. And KYC is approved by the compliance department, which prepares and sent to the compliance committee headed by an executive vice president. Alright? That's a separate approval. If you don't pass KYC, the bank will not deal with you. That is why a digital solution will help you, that Obina will talk about, will help you how to fast track this so that you don't waste time on this. Obina was flying when I asked him to come in. I said, I cannot have you not attend this roadshow. If you cannot come, you nominate someone. He said, brother, I know how important it is, I will come. He's come here, he even lost his back. He's here, his back, I'm not even come, but we are here. Because we want to make it. Alright? So, that KYC is important. When we do KYC, we will now transfer your transaction, we know the structure, we build what we call call it a pre-assessment memo. That you write a story, a brief story, explaining why you want to do this deal. You take the first level of committee. It's called pre-assessment committee. At the top there, they will approve. When they approve, we issue a term sheet, which you sign. If you need to do extra due diligence, you do it. If not, we move to the next level. A more detailed credit memo will be prepared and sent to the credit committee. The credit committee has a limit of $50 million that they can approve. Any amount above $50 million gets sent to the executive committee of the board. So you can have approval of the credit committee or the board executive committee. Amount above $50 million are sent. Alright? In between approvals, and I'm saying this so that when you hear about this, you know, in between approvals, just like I will ask you a question, or we will ask a question. If I take it to you, you don't understand, you're also going to ask questions. That's why sometimes we'll come back to you in between. You say, but I answer this thing, why are they asking again? Because another person had asked. I explained to him internally, you said, no, you are the one saying, I want the customer to say, we'll come back to you again, we'll come back. That's why I say you bear with us. You should have that patience to be able to follow through the process. Once your facilities are approved, be it at the level of credit committee or the executive committee of the board, we move to legal documentation and we do the documentation, we collect CP, we collect the CP and we disperse. This is how. So on average, a trade finance transaction takes about 3 months, and a project and asset-based finance transaction or export development, that is external due diligence. Sometimes we hire experts, engineers to review. I am not a banker, I am not this thing I don't know. If I'm financing the construction, the manufacturing plant of ceramic tiles, I don't know how the machine works. I only know how to look at risk and give you money. I will need to hire a consultant that will come and give the market and story, that you understand the Liberia market, that you understand the soil texture, that you know how much you produce, that you know your sensitivity analysis, that if I produce, I take a 5-year loan, I'll be able to repay. Or hire a consultant, which you pay, and they will do that. Once you repay your facility, you own your facility, you'll be producing, I'll be selling, you'll be employing people, you'll be emancipating Africa, you'll be emancipating Liberia economically. One Africa, one destiny, one. Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests. I know that time is fast spent, so I'm going to give a high-level overview of the AFTA program. That's the Afreximbank Facilitation Program. And also I know that our partners are here, Open Brain, having Loiter, so they can also go into the index after this event. So now the AFTA program, Afreximbank Trade Facilitation Program, is a program that we use to intervene in the short-term trade finance space in the bank. So it goes beyond the vanilla LC confirmation facility that you get offered by other international banks, as it covers the extensive, the whole value chain of the short-term trade finance process.
of this crisis, we also saw banks leaving. But you know what? What Afreximbank did, what we did was to increase the trade lines of all our banks, most of our active actual banks. We increased the trade lines because how do you expect the countries to survive? A lot of countries in Africa are import dependent. We're importing fuel, we're importing grains, we're importing a lot of things. And then when the price doubles, you now cut lines. I mean, starvation would have, been rampant. So what we did was we increased those lines. And that goes to show you the impact of Afreximbank in the continent. So we launched the actual program in 2018. We leveraged on our credit rating. We also leveraged on our supranational status to bridge this gap. And AFTRAF was launched in 2018. Now the main purpose of AFTRAF is to enhance the confidence of counterparties in the settlement of trade. Like I said earlier, it covers the whole value chain. So there are 5 main facilities in AFTRAF, in the AFTRAF program, which I'll just go through briefly and quickly. So the first facility we have is the LC confirmation facility. We have the bank-to-bank reimbursement undertaking facility. We have the promissory notes and bills of exchange aval facility. We have the bonds, guarantees, and indemnity, and we have the trade confirmation guarantee facility. So the first one is the LC confirmation facility, where we're able to confirm letters of credit issued by African banks. So in this case, we have the Liberian businessmen who want to open letters of credit, the Liberian bank to open the letters of credit. Afreximbank is able to add its confirmation when investment grade rating. If the beneficiary, the supplier, wants the LC discounted, we offer that on the AFTRAF line. And also, where the bank needs some breather, to recoup the money to pay, they can ask us to refinance, and so we refinance as well. So under that, it's a 1 year, it has 1 year door-to-door tenure. The refinancing has a cap of about 180 days. So that's what we do under the LC confirmation facility. Now when it comes to the bank-to-bank reimbursement undertaking facility, what we do is we, Afreximbank, we act as the reimbursement bank. So we issue an irrevocable reimbursement undertaking in favor of the confirming bank. So what really happens is, when payment is due, the confirming bank claims on Afreximbank, we make the payment, and then we now face the issuing bank, which will be the local Liberian bank, for payment. The beauty of this? The beauty of this is, where your local Liberian banks have lines, or the lines are full, you can leverage on this IRU. Also, where you have customers that are particular about confirming banks as well, you can leverage on this IRU. So that's why I said in the beginning that it goes beyond the vanilla LC confirmation. It covers the whole value chain. Then the third facility that we have under this is the aval facility. And that's where Afreximbank analyzes promissory notes or bills of exchange. So in this case, this takes care of like an open account contract where the importer and the exporter, they agree that settlement obligation shall be based on promissory notes or shall be based on bills of exchange. So what we do is, of course, the local bank adds its aval, on top of which we, Afreximbank, also add our aval, to the bill of exchange or to the promissory notes. At maturity, Afreximbank prepays that bill of exchange to the advising bank, and then we face the local bank, who in turn repays us. And this also goes to take care of open account transactions. We know that there are some transactions where the supplier does not want an LC, it's done on open accounts. So with that, you're also covered. Then we have the bonds, guarantees, and indemnity facility. And this goes to the point where
he wants a first-grade bank, a first-class bank, a multilateral, you know. So for this as well, what we do is we issue the bond, the performance bond of the APG, on the back of a counter guarantee from the local bank in Liberia here. And then where the contractor, if it happens that the contractor fails to perform under the contract, the contract employer will call on our bond, we make the payments, and then we can sort it out with our local bank. So in instances like this, we've been able to facilitate the contract, and where there's an adverse situation where our bond is called, the contract employer has every confidence that Afreximbank not to make the payments, and this is why we're even able to facilitate that contract in the first place. So I think the last one is the trade confirmation guarantee under the AFTRA program. Remember, all these facilities are all under the AFTRA program, covering the whole value chain of the short-term trade products. So in the trade confirmation guarantee, we as Afreximbank, we do not confirm the LCs. As a different bank, we is the confirming bank. And this could be owed to many reasons. For instance, maybe the supplier has his own confirming bank, is probably financing them. So we want the letters of credit to be confirmed with a particular bank. However, if you, the Nigerian bank or the local bank, you don't have lines, what we do is we can issue a guarantee to the confirming bank. So that international confirming bank, that specific confirming bank, is taking Afreximbank risk. They're able to confirm that letter of credit, and then they're able to do the transaction. You are sitting down here, you're also able to receive the things that you have imported. Under the whole program, all the facilities have dot-to-dot tenure of 1 year, except the trade confirmation guarantee, where we have a dot-to-dot tenure of 2 years. Now, what are the benefits? The first thing I said was cover the whole value chain. You stepping on LC basis? Are you stepping on bills of exchange? Are you stepping on promissory notes? Do your banks have limited lines? Do they not even have lines at all with the nominated confirming bank? The AFTRA program covers this. Then it increases the capacity of the local banks. Local banks are able to do more. We know that local banks even have lines with all these foreign banks, but they are able to do more with Afreximbank, and then they are even able to establish relationship where there was none before. They are able to deal with other international banks with Afreximbank in the middle. So that's on the overall benefits of the program. So I'm going to jump a bit because of time, but we're going to share the presentation. We've done the benefits, so you can see the issuing bank benefits, where, like I said, we increase the capacity of their lines, we expand their relationship, like I said, and then even the customer, that's your own customer. I said it earlier, they are able to do more. Open account, LC business, they are able to do contracts. So I think we'll jump this and then move on to slide 21. So we can talk about the eligibility criteria. Now, for you to apply for you to get an AFTRA line, please know that this is open to all African banks. They're located in our participating member countries. I think if you listen to Eric, he has said we have 52 member states. So this facility is open to all African banks, of which Liberia is even a founding member. Now, what we require is for the banks to have 3 years audited financial statements, you have a strong corporate governance, you have a balance sheet structure. Of course, the first thing we do, like Eric had mentioned, is to go through the KYC process, the anti-money laundering process, anti-bribery and corruption process, where we go through evaluation. And if the bank makes it through that process, then we begin our credit approval process. Now, for AFTRA, because it's a short-term trade solution, the processing is a bit faster, and it's also cheaper, because the documentation for this program program is done internally, so there is no cost of documentation on the abstract lines to the banks. It's faster in the sense that we do not start with the initial pre-assessment committee. We do what we call like a green light memo, gets approved, and then it goes immediately to credit approval. So as long as you are willing to work with us, as long as you are willing to provide the documents, and like Erica said, during the credit approval process, there will be engagements and the questions will come back to you, and then you provide the answers, will go out to our committee. And we have strong partners standing behind us. We have Open Brain, we have Loiter, we have Alice. We work with them through the years. They know exactly what we want. They know the kind of information that we like. And so they're able to handhold you and make the process faster as well. So that's it on the abstract program. How to apply? Send us an application, a requesting for the line. You can include the amount and then include the documents that we have listed on the slides. So that is that on the abstract program. So quickly now, I want to jump to the AFP, the Afreximbank Payment Services. Can we go to slide? I'm not sure the slide now. But please, can you move the slides to the AFP? Yeah, AFP, okay, good. So Afreximbank Payment Services, that's the AFP. And I said earlier in the beginning, there are a lot of challenges in the trade space. Correspondent banking services is also an issue. The international banks don't only cut lines don't only cut trade lines. Sometimes they exit an entire country. So payment services is disrupted. If we have them exiting the countries, how do we make payments? So when we created the abstract program, it was imperative that we would also create a payment services platform. And then we came up with the AFP. So what we basically do on the AFP front is to facilitate settlement of international trade on open accounts on behalf of banks and also their clients. Now, for you to get onboarded on AFP, we have a number of Liberian banks that are dealing with AFP. Now, for you to get onboarded, the onboarding is a two-stage approach. So what we do, first of all, onboard the banks. They go through the KYC process, the accounts are opened, we onboard them, they're on the program. And then the banks are onboarded. We go through another process to onboard their clients who we refer to as our sub-clients. We can start with the top 10, top 20. And Erica mentioned, we're not in competition. So please do not think that because we want to also talk to our partners. We're here to assist. We want to ensure that the businesses in Liberia go to the next level. We want to ensure there's exposure, the export banks begin to know you as well. So I think I'll stop here because of time. Thank you very much. If there are questions, I'm available after the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I realize that this has been a long day. And so what I'm going to try to do, my first plan was to sing a Bob Marley song to make me, but it has already been done. So what I will try to do is avoid slides and slides and slides and try to tell you in a bit more story of what we as Afreximbank are trying to achieve in the digital space. So, and also I was trying to put together a lot of what you heard this morning. So this morning, the minister kicked things off talking about how, the need to facilitate growth in Liberia that is driven by the private sector. How do we get the private sector to drive growth? Our partner Lisa spoke about that vision of Liberia as a hub hub of commerce. And my colleague Eric spoke a lot about the role that Afreximbank plays in finance and trade. Now, and then also we had a number of our speakers who spoke about what attracts money to businesses. You know, how money is attracted to businesses that have business plans, that have clear due diligence, that have access to opportunities. So basically, money is attracted to trade activities. So when we look at all of that, and we ask ourselves, how can we get Liberian businesses more involved in trade, and especially in trade with other African markets and with businesses in other African markets? There are a couple of things that need to be in place. There needs to be trust. You're not going to conduct business with a counterparty in another market who you've never heard of and who is not verified or validated. There needs to be intelligence, information about the markets, the products that you are either selling or interested in buying, and also in the regulatory environment. What does it mean? What do I have to do to import from Zambia? What do I have to do to export to Egypt? Right? There needs to be intelligence. There needs to be an ability to find, discover, and then connect to a counterparty in another market. Right? I've got cocoa. I want to find somebody who wants to buy cocoa beans, maybe in Zambia. How do I find them? Where are they? Who are they? And then, let's say you find those people and you agree on the trade. How do you deliver it? What are the logistics? How do you pay? So there are all these challenges that businesses face when it comes to conducting trade with other markets in Africa. And what we're looking to do is to see how we can use digital solutions, digital services to support that. So, I'm not going to do the slides. I'm going to try to tell the story a bit more because I really can't see the slides from here. So, you've heard a lot about Afreximbank, how we are positioned, what we have to offer, the financing that we have that is available. And what we're doing as a bank is bringing together what can be achieved with digital services and our ability to harness the commercial banking community of Africa. Afreximbank is the bank of Africa's banks. So then what we said is, with all of this together, let's create a digital ecosystem where we encourage Africa's commercial banks to join us in this ecosystem and bring their clients with them. So when a commercial bank is onboarded to what we have now called the Africa Trade Gateway, when a commercial bank joins, they will also make it possible for their clients to also join the ecosystem. And when their clients are within this digital ecosystem, they can trade with trusted counterparties, because every company that joins the Africa Trade Gateway has to pass through a level of due diligence. My colleagues spoke about the need for due diligence, the levels that we have to pass. Every company, every bank within our Africa Trade Gateway must pass a level of due diligence, so that if you are within this gateway, if you are within the ecosystem, you know that you're dealing with, or you already know you're dealing with trusted counterparties. We've got a lot more that we do here. As a bank within the African Trade Gateway, you can onboard yourself as a provider of financing facilities. So you We've spoken a lot about how we finance banks to finance companies. A bank can, within the trade gateway, promote the financing facilities it has to offer to those who want to conduct trade within the ecosystem. And so if your bank has brought you into the ATG, into the Africa Trade Gateway, you're not left alone to try to conduct these trades on your own. If you need financing to conduct trades, you speak to your bank. If your bank has not got the facility to support you, they will speak to us at Afreximbank. My colleagues like Wisdom and Uju will do their best to try and support those financing needs. And if your bank, after all of that, is unable to support you, we have other banks, we are onboarding banks right across the region who can also support. And so one of the other things about this trade gateway is that it is expanding the opportunities for you as a business to obtain finance to do the business that you want to do. On another point, when it comes to conducting business, you have to deliver those goods. You have to, in some cases, seek, there are also opportunities to seek for investment. So this is the Pan-African Payments and Settlement System. The central bank government spoke extensively about this. Liberia Central Bank has onboarded onto our payments and settlement system. It enables you as a business to pay a counterparty in another African market in your local currency. And the beneficiary of your payment will receive that payment in their local currency without you having to source dollars to make that transaction occur. So what we do, and it's an instant payment. So we rolled this out, we launched this about 2 years ago. It's now fully operational in 6 African markets. There are another 4 African markets this year that we expect to onboard. And it is basically now Africa's payment system to enable payments, cross-border payments within the African region without us having to look for dollars, look for euros, or even look for renminbi to trade between ourselves. So, as you can see, there are a lot of different solutions that were brought together. And what we've done is bring it all under one house, make it available to our commercial banking partners. And they are then enabled to make these solutions available to their clients, African businesses. So, trying to keep this short, trying not to go to the slides, what I would love to do is encourage any of the commercial banks that are here today, meet me, let's have a conversation, let's see how we can bring Liberia's commercial banking community into our African Trade Gateway so that you can join your colleagues, your peers in other markets in increasing the ability of Liberia will have to do business with the rest of the African region. I promise to keep it short. Any questions, please just come and find me. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for your patience. The event has finally come to an end, and it's my honor to do the vote of thanks, standing on all the existing protocol. I just want to say a big thank you to all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen who graced this occasion, all of the government officials who were here, the Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, distinguished hosts, the Governor of the Central Bank of Liberia, the Minister of Finance, represented by the Deputy Minister. I also want to say a big thank you to all of our partners, Florida Capital, Conco Green Africa, and Habits. Thank you all for making this roadshow a success, and we hope that by way of this event, we begin to reap the fruits of all of the opportunities that exist in the Liberian economy. We hope that we can also foster new partnerships in view of all of the products that we have showcased today. And even as the event has finally come to an end, I wish you all a successful journey, safe journey to your respective destination. Thank you once again and have a very lovely afternoon and evening. Thank you. I also want to thank all of my colleagues present. Thank you very much.